a cargo ship rammed into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, causing the span to collapse and presumably killing 6 construction workers. On Wednesday, a day after the early morning crash, officials with the National Transportation Safety Board boarded the ship and planned to recover information from its electronics and paperwork while divers searched for the bodies of workers who were still missing. But what exactly happened? And what impact could this have? Let's uncover the questions in this video, so be with us until the end. The operators of the Dali cargo ship issued a mayday call moments before the crash early Tuesday, saying the vessel had lost power. But the 300-meter-long ship still struck one of the 2.6-kilometer bridge's supports at 8 knots, which is roughly 9 miles per hour. That caused the span to break and fall into the water within seconds. 8 construction workers were filling potholes on the bridge when the crash happened. 2 were rescued soon after the collapse. Divers recovered the bodies of 2 others, and the other 4 are presumed dead. Jeffrey Pritzker, executive vice president of Bronner Builders, said they were working in the middle of the span when it collapsed. The U.S. Coast Guard said that the ship underwent routine engine maintenance in the port before it lost power. An inspection of the Dali last June at a port in Chile identified a problem with the ship's propulsion and auxiliary machinery. The deficiency involved gauges and thermometers, but the website's online records didn't elaborate. A standard examination conducted by the U.S. Coast Guard in New York in September didn't identify any deficiencies. Roberto Leon, who is a Virginia Tech engineering professor, said that given the vessel's massive weight, it struck the bridge support with significant force. The post can resist the impact by bending, but cannot absorb the energy brought by such a humongous ship. 2 of the construction workers who were on the bridge were rescued. The bodies of 4 of the 6 others were still missing. Searchers recovered the bodies of 35-year-old Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes and 26-year-old Dorlean Roniel Castillo Cabrera on Wednesday. They were in a pickup truck submerged in about 25 feet of water. One worker, 38-year-old Maynor Yasir Suazo Sandoval, came to the U.S. from Honduras nearly 2 decades ago. His brother described him as an entrepreneurial and hardworking husband and father of 2. And El Salvador's foreign minister, Alexandra Hill Tinoco, posted on X that one Salvadoran citizen, Miguel Luna, was among the missing workers. The ship is owned by Singapore-based Grace Ocean Private Limited, which said all crew members, including the 2 pilots, were accounted for, and there were no reports of injuries. The ship's warning enabled authorities to limit vehicle traffic on the span. Plus, the accident occurred at 1:30 a.m. long before the busy morning rush. The bridge carried an estimated 30,800 vehicles per day on average in 2019. The collapse will almost surely create a logistical nightmare, shutting down ship traffic at the Port of Baltimore and snarling cargo and commuter traffic. The port is a major East Coast hub for shipping. The bridge spans the Patapsco River, which massive cargo ships use to reach the Chesapeake Bay and then the Atlantic Ocean. The Dali was headed from Baltimore to Colombo, Sri Lanka, and flying under a Singapore flag. President Joe Biden said he expects the federal government to pick up the entire rebuilding cost. Maryland Governor Wes Moore asked the Biden administration for $60 million to pay for debris recovery and other initial costs. The association estimated nearly 4,900 trucks traveled the bridge every day, carrying about $28 billion in goods every year. Paying for the bridge reconstruction will likely require a myriad of funding sources, including municipal bonds and money from the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure law. Moore said on Thursday that this work is not going to take hours. This work is not going to take days. This work is not going to take weeks. We have a very long road ahead of us. According to U.S. Coast Guard Chief Petty Officer Cynthia Oldham, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and a commercial salvage company have been surveying the site as they plan the salvage operation. The collapse is not likely to have a big effect on worldwide trade because Baltimore is not a major port for container vessels and proves more important when it comes to goods such as farm equipment and autos. But jobs for roughly 2,400 members of the International Longshoremen's Association Local 333 could dry up until shipping traffic resumes. Union leaders are working with elected officials to fund compensation for longshoremen in the meantime. Authorities must also now handle a sheen in the water after some of the 56 containers on board that were carrying hazardous materials were breached. Among the hazardous materials were corrosives, flammables, and lithium-ion batteries. But the Key Bridge Joint Information Center said that there's no immediate environmental threat and that air monitoring has shown no volatile organic compounds. Before we proceed further, discussing how often does this happen, incidents like Baltimore Bridge? I'd like to hear from you. Are you finding this video informative? Feel free to share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. And if you're finding it helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Your support means a lot to us and helps us reach a wider audience and the content that you'll love. Let's continue this journey together. According to a 2018 report from the World Association for Waterborne Transport Infrastructure, from 1960 to 2015, there were 35 major bridge collapses worldwide due to ship or barge collisions, with a total of 342 people killed. 18 of those collapses happened in the US alone. On an annual basis, there are about 50 million tons of goods valued at about $80 billion that go to and from the port each year. That ranks within the top 20 in terms of tonnage nationally. It's actually within the top 10 in terms of value. But then digging even deeper into that particular products passing through the port, including automobiles in particular, it's the top port for auto goods and transportation equipment actually. But there's other goods too. It's actually a major port for coal exports. It's also important for coffee and sugar. So many different goods do depend on the Port of Baltimore. And then obviously, with this bridge collapse and the disruptions to traffic, there's a lot of concerns as to what those economic ripple effects could be. And the disruptions that it's going to have for passenger vehicles, 30,000 to 35,000 vehicles a day, about 12 million vehicles a year use the bridge. So that means it's going to cause some diversions in terms of where's all that traffic going to go. And some of that traffic can go on those other crossings. The immediate price tag, $2 million in wages a day and 8,000 jobs. Between $100 million and $200 million of cargo passes through the port every day. With that coming to standstill, many longshore workers could be unemployed. According to Maryland Governor Wes Moore's office, the Port of Baltimore is the 10th largest in the U.S. based on container imports, according to Moody's Analytics. It's the #1 port in the nation for vehicles. Last year, it handled a record 847,158 cars and light trucks. The facility also handled 1.3 million tons of farm and construction machinery, the most of any port in the nation, and it employs about 15,000 workers. Oxford Economics doesn't expect the reshuffling to have any material impact on the nation's $28 trillion economy or economic growth this year. Experts from both Oxford and JP Morgan Chase said they expect the shifts likely will push up prices, especially for vehicles, but the effects should be minimal. What do you think what could be the biggest loss for U.S. economy after Baltimore Bridge collision? What steps can USA take to preventing its economy from downfall? And is this the year of USA? As after the bridge collision, would they be able to complete their goal of being $18 trillion economy? Let us know your opinions in the comment section. And don't forget to share the video and click on the subscribe button as well for remaining updated of the current trends in this fast-paced modern world. Until next video, stay tuned.